What time is it? It's science time! It's your chance to meet the science crew during DIY Science Time's Super Summer Showcase. Got my questions. Oh, hey everybody! It has been a long but amazing day. I've been busy in the kitchen doing all sorts of science experiments for DIY Science Time, and I wanted to come out here and take an opportunity to meet all of you and share with you what DIY Science Time is really all about and all the important people that make it work. And as you know, we always say science is wherever you are, and because you're here today with us, science is right here, right now. What I also want to say is that DIY Science Time is an amazing program that is now being aired all across the country. So before we get too far, if you're watching this, let us know in the comments right now where you are watching from. We have people out in California, North Dakota, South Dakota. We have people in New York. We have people in Ohio. That's where I'm at. And we have lots of people who want to know what the show is all about and why we decided to make it. And I've got a whole bunch of questions and things that I'm going to try to answer today with the help of my science crew, who is the most important part of our show.
Hi, my name is Alfred Lewis. I'm 11 years old.
I'm Lila Chabal. I'm 12 years old.
My name's London. I'm 12 years old.
My name is Riley. I am 11 years old and I'm a part of the
DIY Science Crew.
DIY Science Time. How did it start? Well, DIY Science Time is a show that my wife and I came up with. My wife's name is Heather. My name is Mr. C. And what I want to say is that there are birds everywhere. They're going to get me. So if something happens with the birds, we're going to just keep rolling. But DIY Science Time is a show that was designed to inspire kids and families at home to do science with their families and friends. And most of the experiments that we do in the kitchen are those that kids typically have materials to try to do the experiment at home. And that was the whole point of the show. We wanted to make learning science accessible. But one of the big things that happened was because of COVID, we weren't able to put the show on like we wanted to. We wanted to have young scientists in the show with us in person, but because of COVID, we couldn't record and travel all over the place and do the experiments with our science crew. So we decided we were going to do an animated series mixed with a traditional video series. So the kitchen is what happens where I do the science and I go through the experiments, and then all of our animated characters are kids who have been selected to be my helpers. And working with my crew has been so amazing and so much fun. And that was the vision that Mrs. C and I had for the show. We just want learning to be fun. All right. Another question. Why is DIY Science Time so important? That is a great question. I've kind of already answered it a little bit, but DIY Science Time is so important because I want kids and families to believe that they can try and do any science experiment that they want to. Learning is about trying new things, learning is about making mistakes, and learning is about learning from those mistakes. So if we try an experiment and it doesn't work, those sometimes are the best experiments. In fact, you don't see it in the show, but our DIY solar balloon episode, the first time I built it, it wouldn't fly at all. I had holes in the seams, it just would not lift off the ground. So we had to refilm that entire segment so that we could actually get it to work. And then the segment that you saw, the balloon actually flying, in fact, was the one that worked. So mistakes happen, and then mistakes, we get to learn from them. And I learned as an engineer trying to build a solar balloon what actually allowed it to work better. Another example I'm going to show to you right now is when we did the DIY vinegar egg, where I put an egg into vinegar and let it sit there for 7 days. And here, check this out. That is, what is this? Oh, it's so strong. The vinegar is so strong. But look at this. It's an egg. It doesn't even feel like an egg anymore. The shell's not hard. It feels rubbery. I wonder if it can bounce. Oh, it did not bounce. science fail. When that egg broke, I was so nervous, and you could probably see it on my face. I wasn't sure what to do, and I decided right then that this is a perfect example to keep in the show because we want kids to see that failure is okay. And we then, at the end of the episode, showed the actual egg bouncing. But that egg was in the vinegar for 7 days, and I still don't know why it didn't take and why it didn't bounce. But I don't know. That happens sometimes. We'll show some more bloopers here in a few minutes. But I want to talk about one of the things that you guys have been voting on. We have had all of our fans voting on what experiment they'd like to see me do at the end of this showcase, and the results are in. Drum roll, please. The vote is it's official. We are doing Soda Mento geysers at the end of the showcase. So I've got 4 soda bottles, 2 liters of Diet Coke, and I've got some Mentos, and we are going to hopefully make a mess and have some fun with that. All right, so I'm gonna set this down. We'll get to that here in a little bit. My team, my science crew, is the best part of the show. They are so much fun to work with. Lila, Alfred, London, Riley, they are what make the show for me. And what was really cool about the show is when we were building the show, we got to write in these characters who were talking about science and understanding different things and sharing with the audience different things. So Lila, she's our notebook navigator. She is probably the most important person in the entire show because every scientist, their job is to record data and collect it so that they can remember it for future episodes or future experiments. And then I have Alfred. He's my materials ninja. He is the one who gets everything together, makes sure that we're prepared for the episode, and he is the one who really ties it all together because without Alfred's help, we wouldn't know, or you wouldn't know, what you need for the experiment, the main experiment that we're doing in the show. And then we have our research wrangler, London, and she is like the brains of the organization. She's always hunting information on the internet. She's finding really cool facts and information to share with all of you. And then Riley, well, Riley, she is one of my go-tos. And what's really cool about Riley, she lives in the same state that I do. And I actually know her because I've worked with her before DIY Science Time. So Riley and I have had the chance to work together on other science projects, and you know, all 4 of these kiddos, they are natural scientists. They love science, they love acting, and putting those 2 things together, that gives us this amazing science crew. So I have a whole bunch of questions I want to ask our science crew, and they've done some recordings for us because of COVID. We aren't able to connect and be all across the country. So I've asked some questions. They're going to answer those so you guys get to know them a little bit better. And here is our first question. Let's see what we've got here. So guys, what do you enjoy most about being in the science crew?
What I enjoy most about being part of the DIY Science crew is getting to learn new things with each episode. My parents were so proud that I got on the show. Plus, it's about my favorite subject ever, science.
I enjoy learning new experiments, working with a talented group of kids, and developing more as a voice actor. My family is super proud of me for my achievement, and they're also really big fans of the show.
What I enjoy most about being part of the DIY Science crew is that I can help kids learn and understand science better, because for me, understanding science is something that I need to work more on, and this really helps me. What my friends and family think about me being on this show is that they are super, super proud of me and excited for me about this show.
My favorite thing about being a part of the DIY Science crew was giving other kids information about science from a kid's perspective. My friends and family think it's pretty cool that I'm on the show. And even some of my younger cousins thought it was so cool how my voice was on a cartoon. And my mom actually showed the show to my old 4th grade teacher, and she said that she's gonna be incorporating the lessons in the upcoming year.
So my favorite part about being in the DIY Science crew is that when we're working together, we're able to come up with really cool things and be able to understand the topic that we're trying to learn more easily. And that's why having all of my DIY Science crew members is so awesome, because they help me and they bring different perspectives and different ideas to the episode, and that allows me to really help you understand the topic even more. So the DIY Science Crew is just basically an awesome team that works together to solve a problem or understand a topic that we're looking at. All right, another question we have here from one of our fans. What do you think about your animated character, and what does it feel like to have your own character on TV?
It feels awesome. It's really cool to have my own character on TV, and I'm one step closer to finally achieving my dream.
I'm so proud that they chose to make my animated character actually me. Usually when I play a character, it's absolutely nothing like me. But for this, I'm basically just playing myself, which made my job a lot easier.
I feel like my character is very, very, very energetic. It feels amazing to have your own character on TV because you know you put in the work, and when you look at it visually, you realize you brought something to life.
What I really enjoyed about my character is how cool and smart she is. I love how I was also able to customize what her hair looked like, because me, I wear a lot of different hairstyles.
I also love having an animated character. The best part about having an animated character is I never have to buy more hair gel for him. His hair is always perfect. It's so easy to work with. And yeah, I can make the character bigger or smaller. Like right here on the screen, I can make him bigger or smaller, and his dimensions all stay the same. So I don't have to give him all sorts of hair gel. It's so much cheaper. I'm telling you, this hair is crazy to work with, right, crew? Don't you think?
I think Mr. C's hair is super cool and crazy. It steps right outside the box. I want to do an experiment to see how much hair gel he can put in there.
Mr. C's hair is very unpredictable. You never know what you're gonna get.
And Mr. C's hair, rock on, Mr. C, rock on.
Crew, I bet a lot of the audience watching right now is probably wondering, why are the characters so important to the show?
My character is the experiment expert. He plays an important role in the show because he shows you all the tools you need to have a successful experiment.
I believe that having a research wrangler is extremely important because without research, you can't have theories, facts, or evidence.
I think my character is important to the audience because it lets kids know that they can be sassy, cool, and love science.
My character is super important to the show and the audience because I write stuff down. So I'm the character that shows the notebook, and it just helps people to keep track of everything. And without the notebook, then people would not remember things as easily, and it'd just be a little bit more difficult.
Each one of those characters, each one of our crew members are critical to the show because they each bring something unique and special to the team. And it's just like you guys at home. You're at home, you're learning with your friends and family. Each of you has strengths, and that allows you to contribute to your team in a different way. That's what makes learning together so much fun. Everybody has those strengths, everyone can contribute, and everyone is able to support one another in the same task. You know, whether it's trying to build a solar balloon, bouncy balls, whether you're trying to build an up and down, high-low kinetic potential energy track, that is how a team works together, is by working together. All of your strengths come together to do something really exciting. And me, actually, before I say what I think I am, what do you think you are for your team? Let us know in the comments. Are you a research wrangler? Are you the notebook ninja who always takes the notes for the team to make sure they have everything recorded? Do you make sure you have the materials, or are you the experiment expert? Let us know what you are, because I love to know what my audience and what my fans are doing at home to learn about science. Me? I really think I'm like the mess maker. I get to do the experiments, I get to make the mess, and I also get to pick it up. So I'm also the cleaner upper. Yeah, for sure. Let's see what other questions we have. What is your favorite memory recording the voiceovers for season 1?
My favorite memory of recording the voiceovers was probably when I would be able to play around with my voice. And one time I really surprised Mr. C when I came with a pirate voice, and they used it too. And it made me so happy, and it was just so fun to film and make. Ahoy, matey! Grab an empty juice carton and use rubber bands to hold the 2 craft sticks to the sides. Cut a piece of cardboard and cover it with tape to help make it more water resistant. Connect the paddle to the rubber band and wind up your boat. Place it to the water and let it go. Shiver me timbers, you've got your very own pirate ship.
My favorite memory from recording the voiceover from season 1 is definitely meeting the cast, meeting all the other kids, and just recording in general with Kevin and his wife and everyone else. My favorite segment we recorded for the show is definitely the slime one because I love slime and that's just something I like and it's really cool to see it on TV.
Let's bounce back into our notebook, add a few pieces before we wrap up the day. Polymers are so helpful. They help babies stay dry, keep our cars driving on the road, and give us fun toys to play with. I wonder what other amazing things could be made from polymers. Maybe create a bouncy pen? Now that could really put a spring in our notes.
One of my favorite memories while we were recording season 1 was when Mr. C was teaching me how to rap about science. It was so hard and there were so many tongue twisters. I still don't get all of it. My favorite segment that I recorded was the one about ostrich eggs. It's random, yet so interesting.
Ostriches lay the largest bird eggs. Ostrich eggs are about 6 inches in diameter and can weigh up to 3 pounds. How exciting!
My favorite memory from season 1 is when me and Mr. C were in the studio. We were just trying different things and he told me to say 5 minutes later. And all of a sudden SpongeBob popped up in my head and I said, 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. And everyone in the studio was cracking up. So that was probably one of my favorite moments. My favorite episode we did was the one about polymers. I learned that polymers are large molecules made up of a long chain of smaller molecules. My favorite part is when Mr. C made his own artificial snow.
Artificial snow is another polymer that you may have seen before. Artificial snow is similar to the polymer in a diaper, but it's designed to be fluffy and soft instead of gooey gel. Mr. C is using artificial snow and food coloring to make some very colorful snow. Once he adds water, the snow expands so much that it pushes up and out of the cups. Beautiful polymers.
That is amazing. So one of my favorite memories and one of the things that I loved recording for the show was actually the kinetic energy track, the high-low track that we built. And I actually built that before we recorded the show. I actually worked with my brother to record it. He is actually an engineer, and so we designed it and we cut it out on a laser cutter and we built it. And what was really cool is I gave him my design and we learned really quickly that what I thought was going to work actually didn't work. And so the steel ball bearings, the steel marbles, were just shooting off the track and they were jumping and nothing was working. But that was what I enjoyed most about that process, because I took the piece that I engineered with him and then I went to a hardware store and I bought other parts to try to build a new one to see if I could make it better. And he and I would brainstorm and we'd work together to figure out how to make this thing and actually make it work so that when you see it on TV, when you see it in the episode for kinetic and potential energy, it actually worked. And I was really proud of that moment because I was nervous that it wasn't going to work and then I wouldn't have that roller coaster to show you guys on television, but it did. And that was so amazing. So my brother, even though he's not part of the science crew on TV, he's part of my science crew because he helps me do science here at my house and in my community. So my brother and I have a lot of fun working together. Check this out. I built this really cool track and it's like a roller coaster for these steel marbles. Isn't that awesome? You can see the motion of the marble back and forth, back and forth. But here's the question I have for you. Which of these tracks is going to allow the marble to travel back and forth the fastest? I think we should try that. And then we'll talk about the track and how we built it and why it actually works the way it does. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Whoa, did you see that? This track here allowed the marble to travel over faster and return faster than the top track. And the question is, why? Why? So in order to understand this, we really have to talk about kinetic and potential energy. These tracks are both set at the same height. So they're both starting at the same point. So I can have the marble start at the same exact point, and when I let go, something changes right here. It's the potential to kinetic energy conversion. When the marble is here on both tracks, they both have the same potential energy. Stored energy because they're off the ground the same amount. When the ball starts rolling, they're both traveling the same speed right here because they've had the same amount of potential energy converted into kinetic, and they're rolling here at the same rate. But at this point, when this marble up here continues going flat across the upper bridge, this one here drops. And when it drops, it takes more of that potential energy and converts it into kinetic energy, which causes it to travel faster. So right here we have where it takes off faster. And it does that on both sides. So if you watch really carefully again, you can actually see that they're both basically at the same point, and then when it hits the ramp here, it just takes off. And it makes me wonder, is there someone at your house that you like to do science with? That you say, this is someone who is in my science crew? Who's that person? Let us know in the comments. We love to see who you're working with. We love to know that you have a partner in crime when you're doing science at home. Yeah, and remember, give science a try with a simple DIY, right? It's not hard. You can always try this. And speaking of science crew members, I almost forgot someone who is super critical and important to the show. His name is Van, and he is our sound engineer. So I want to send this over to Van, and he's going to talk about what he is, not what he is, he's a sound engineer, but what he does to help us help you understand science.
Okay, let's get this thing rolling, shall we? Well, hello, friends. My name is Van. I'm part of the DIY science crew with Mr. C and the team. And, don't worry about this. We'll let the team figure that out later. I'm the audio engineer, which means when the team gets done with an episode, they send all of the video and audio to me completed as one long 30-minute episode, and then I make sure all of the music and all of the voices are the same level. Then I get to add the sound and effects in, which is my favorite part.
Van, one more question for you. What is your favorite part of the series? What was one of the things you love to work on? Because I know we've laughed and talked on the phone a number of times, but what is your favorite thing?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to nail down my favorite episode. Gosh, I learned a lot during this season, but I can tell you one of my most favorite memorable scenes from Mr. C. I give you this face. I call it the Sonic Egg. Now, part of what I did on this scene was Mr. C had it slowed down so he could show an egg being smashed with another egg. So I thought, since we're being slow motion, let's add some sonic effects to it. So here's the final scene. Watching Mr. C covered in egg, it's kind of one of my favorite scenes of all time.
That was excellent, Van. That was an exciting choice to share with the audience. Extravagant, for sure. And speaking of eggs, yeah, that was such a messy clip because I had egg all over the place. I had egg on my face, literally. I had egg on my face. And what's really funny about that is just one of the things that I was able to do for the show, is we could record these high-speed clips and share them throughout the episodes. But even though that was planned, we had a lot of things that weren't planned that happened, and we have a lot of bloopers. So I'm gonna take just a couple of clips, put them together for you, and I want you to take a peek at some of these bloopers that happen during our season that I think, you know, make the show what it is, because it's real science that we're doing at my house with all of you, and that real science means that we're gonna make real mistakes as well. Check these out. I did. Like, whoa. And now I have to pick it all up. 244 bouncy balls. Didn't work that time either. I didn't get one. Oh! Edges when we're all finished and said and done. Blech. I have 12 of each. Blech. I like to use a ratio of 2. Bubble solution. Okay. We're gonna get started right. Take 4. Oh. I think the piece of plastic needs to be a little bit bigger. Alright, let's try that again. Take a look. Oh, that's so cold. Speaking of which, speaking of which, how much fun have we had today? We've had the chance to talk to our crew. We've had a chance to talk to our sound engineer. We've had a chance to watch some bloopers, our favorite clips. Oh man, this is what learning's all about, right? Giving science a try with a simple DIY. And in fact, if you haven't watched the show yet, or if you want to find a place to check out all the episodes all together, visit DIYScienceTime.org to watch all of your favorite episodes and download the activity sheets that go with each of the episodes. Remember, science is wherever you are. And oh, wait a minute. We've got to do this still. This is what we promised all of you, is to do this experiment, because you guys voted for it. Wait, before we do that, I have a question for you. Do you call this soda? Do you call this pop? Or do you call this Coke? Let us know in the comments below. Do you call this soda, pop, or Coke? I would call this Coke or soda. Mrs. C would call this pop. And then everyone I know calls it something different. So let us know what you call it. And now, finally, you've been waiting, you've been patient, you are ready for it. We are going to cause this soda to erupt and shoot up out of this. It's gonna go way up in the sky, and hopefully we have some fun with it.
5 minutes later.
Check it out. I've got my stuff set up and we are ready to go. We're going to be doing some soda Mentos geysers. But the first thing is we want to talk about why this works. So I'm going to use this Sprite bottle because it's an old Sprite bottle, but it should still do this. So we're going to open this up. You can hear the fizz, and that's carbon dioxide in there. They pump that in. That's what gives it the bubbles. And these Mentos, what's really cool is when we put them in, oh, it's so flat. You remember how we talked about it's okay to make mistakes and when things fail? This is a perfect example of that. This is so flat. It's an old bottle of soda. Let's try this one. This is a new bottle of Diet Coke. And I'm just gonna put one little Mento in there, and we're gonna see what happens. And it starts to fizz. All that carbon dioxide starts to come out, and because carbon dioxide is a gas, it rises up and it pushes itself out and brings some of the soda out with it. Now here's the thing, that Mento, why does this work? That Mento in there, it has all these little divots. They're called nucleation sites. But it looks like the Mentos is really smooth, but in fact, it's not smooth at all. It has all these little divots, and that carbon dioxide grabs onto that. So we're gonna use that knowledge to do a DIY Mentos geyser. So I'm gonna go out in the grass, I'm gonna get this set up, and we're actually gonna be using one of these. This is a trigger tube, basically. It's a geyser tube. And what's gonna happen is I have 6 Mentos in here, well 5, and I'm going to put it on top of the soda bottle, and then I'm gonna pull it, and they all fall out at once. So we're gonna put in 5 Mentos all at once, and we're gonna see what happens with that eruption. All right, here we go. That was awesome. Wasn't that awesome? I want to say big special thanks to everybody who tuned in today for our DIY Science Time showcase. It was so much fun. Remember, keep learning, keep exploring, keep having fun, and know that science is wherever you are. Take care. Hop online, watch the videos. Bye.